Let's give McKinley Tech High School a black hand. Let's give them a black hand. They really worked with us. We're going to do these questions. Are there any questions? I can't believe after all of this there are no questions. Come right here, my brother. If you have questions, just come on to the stage. You're part of our family, too. Just come right on up to the stage. We'll let you use the mic. You can ask Dr. Muhammad questions. Dr. Jeffries will be right back. Just come right on up here, right on the stage. Come right on up here. The souvenir posters are in the lobby, and there's also food there also. Just state your name and your question.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Nick Odomaga. I'm from Nigeria. I went to school here. I've been here for a while, so I've been following what's going on. And I was here yesterday. I'm here again today. What I want to know from our learned dignitaries and our revered brothers and sisters who spoke, how come, what is the problem? How come, for most of us who are here, we are all already initiated. How can we get this great education which none of us, nobody can get in Harvard, Stanford, Yale, or anywhere else? How can we take it out to our brothers and sisters out there who are not initiated? For those of us here who are hearing this, we have heard it maybe over and over again. We need to take this out to the street, right to the brother and sister on the streets. How do we do this? I think that's the major problem we will have. That is number one. Number two is, it just blows my mind that from what we have heard so far, how come the white man cannot just say, I am sorry for what I've done to you and your people for these thousands of years, like we've had this night, since yesterday? How come they've said sorry to the Jews, the Germans have said sorry to the Jews, America said sorry to the Japanese? How come, why can't they say sorry to the black, to the African? I just want to know if anybody can explain those to me. Thank you so much.
I'll start it off. Let's get this brother a black hand. It seems as if the essence of his question was why can't the white man apologize for what he has done to us? That's the second part. The first part was how to spread this information to others. I'll give a brief answer on that. To spread this information to others, sometimes it can be done in a mass format, but we should never undervalue the importance of each one teach one. We should never undervalue the importance of you reaching out to tutor one young brother or one young sister or a friend on this knowledge and this information. In terms of just saying sorry, that's not enough for the white man to say sorry, because as the sister pointed out, and as we all know, the white man owes us reparations in the form of land and billions of dollars for what he has done to us. And if he admits through apology, you know he'll be setting himself up to have to pay for what he has done to us. Next question.
Hello, my name is Khadija. I have a question for Dr. Jeffries. I wanted to know about what you think about what Diab said about uniting African countries. Because I'm from West Africa, and I'm very concerned about the decline of the African continent economically. And I wanted to know about what you think about what Diab said about uniting Africa, and what you think about Pan-Africanism. Because a lot of our leaders have come from the same school, the white school, and they don't have the knowledge of self. So I wanted to know about what are the information because we don't have a lot of the information that you have in this country. Because, and I want to know what are the steps that you're taking to put out those information to us so we can know about what Africa is about. Because a lot of us don't know about what Africa is about. We're from the continent, but we don't know because we came from the same white schools. So I want to know about what you think about the whole situation.
Okay. Let's get a sister a black hand. Dr. Jeffries. That's for you. I believe if you didn't hear it, the essence of the question, if I understood it correct, was how can we spread this information on the African continent to Africans, because many Africans themselves do not know this information. Was that the question? Okay.
Oh, thank you, sister. She, when I left the stage, she thought I was leaving, so she ran right after me. Said, Dr. Jeffrey, I said, I'm not going anywhere, sister. I'm just taking a break. So she wanted to get this question. It's a very important question. We have to have African unity wherever we are. So one of the chapters in my book is Africans must unite. But we also have to understand we're up against a system of white supremacy that does not want us to unite. You're up against a white religious system that does not want to see us Africanize our religious experience. You're up against an economic system that wants to keep us continually exploited. So they do everything they can to destroy our unity. African independence wasn't independence, it was a pseudo-independence, it was a neo-colonialism. Africans got political independence to play a political game just as Nelson Mandela is playing it, but the economics, the politics, the military, the culture was kept into European hands. People signed accords, so they had independence with strings attached. So they did not want Africans to form independent nations or regions like Kwame Nkrumah has called for. Diop has written a book called Black Africa, the basis for the economic political basis for a federated state. You have to have a federated Africa. You have to have a federated Caribbean. Little islands in the sun can't become whorehouses of the Western world. In order for the Caribbean to be anything, it has to be united. So Africans must unite in the Caribbean. You have 100 million Africans in Brazil, but they don't have an African consciousness. They have African culture, they have African food, they have African dance, they have African religion, but they do not have African unity consciousness. All of Brazil is divided up into 25 different racial types, each of them thinking they're racist based upon color, size of lips, texture of hair, and size of nose. But the black man in Brazil, the black woman in Brazil is going to continually be at the bottom unless they unite. And that means unite around their race, the interests of their race. And so what Dr. Diop told us has to become a reality. What Kwame Nkrumah tried to do has to become a reality. But the system is not going to let us do it easily. Carter is down in Haiti. We should have known some Mickey Mouse was going to happen once Jimmy Carter, Peanut Man from Georgia, went down to Haiti. Because his major security man was Brzezinski. And Brzezinski memorandum, I have in my home a copy of it, which said we have to keep Africans divided. So the context of divide and rule is a basic tenet of white supremacy. Our context of African development is unity at every level, unity with diversity.
All right. And also, Brother Ashra Kwesi is still here, and his queen, Sister Mary Wakwesi, is here. So you can have any questions if you like to direct to them on the information they presented. They will also take questions. Right this way. Brother Khalid Muhammad wants to touch on that question. Let's give him a black hand. Let's get into it.
Essentially, Sister Khadijah, in my judgment, Africa must be awakened. And I believe that before we can wake Africa up, we must shake Africa up. Many of the African leaders on the African continent, for the most part, almost all African leaders on the African continent are deaf, dumb, and blind. Of course, there are some exceptions to that. Very definitely, there are some exceptions to that. Many who teach in the colleges and universities and the school system on the African continent do not have a knowledge of self. However, there are some exceptions to that. Sister Khadijah's primary concern was the fact that many what we call continental Africans that many continental Africans, we make a distinction because we're all Africans, and we make a distinction between the continental African and the so-called diaspora African. Many continental Africans have never heard this. Many continental Africans do not draw from the rich research and the rich academic resources that a Dr. Leonard Jeffries or Dr. Tony Martin or the many other scholars before us, the Kwesi family of Ashra and Merira and others. Never do they draw from a Steve Coakley and others. So as a result of that, I believe that it is most important that we begin to spread this kind of message on the African continent. I believe it is important that we understand that the power of African spiritualism and African religion, that no matter how powerful it is, the white man was able to come in and take Africa from us and take our minds for the most part because we had never witnessed a demon or a devil like the white man, and so he came in and caught us off guard. And so our brothers and sisters who practice the Ifa, the Akan, the Yoruba, and who are into ancient African traditional religion, those who practice the principles of Mayat on the African continent, we must begin to wake them up. But we must shake them up and make sure that they understand that the white man is not a devil, but the white man is the devil. From the Cape to Cairo, he is that. One last point. So we have to begin to set up these kinds of conferences in African colleges and universities and high schools and among the grassroots on Africa, on the African continent. We must begin to get interpreters and translators in the languages of the colonizer, because many of our people can communicate better in the language of the colonizer than we can in our own traditional languages. But we must have interpreters in the traditional languages, and we must have in the traditional language, and we must have interpreters in the languages of the colonizer, in French, in English, in Spanish, in Portuguese. We must make sure of this so that this message and this research and this information can be taken the length and breadth of the African continent and throughout the islands of the Caribbean and throughout that section where the second probably most powerful population of black people in terms of numbers on the South American continent, so that we can begin to come up under a form of what Dr. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, as Dr. Jeffries referred to, under this system of Pan-Africanism.
Brothers and sisters, there is an election coming up in November, a general election. As I announced last night, I will be a candidate in the Ward 8 City Council race. That election is in April. Again, I will be running under the principles to implement the vision that Marion Barry had laid the foundation for in the ward. I will be running to establish that and make that permanent in that ward, and to also fight for justice for the locked out citizens of Ward 8 by any means necessary, and to bring black education to the ward, to unite black men in the ward in order to stop the violence and create an environment of peace, and unite the churches in the ward, and for an economic program. Our brother also in this election in November, we know that Marion Barry becoming the mayor, it makes no sense to have a white man, the head of council chair, Dave Clark. It makes absolutely no sense to have a white man in a neo-colonial situation ruling over the city council in this black city. So our brother, Mark Thompson, come up here, brother. Brothers and sisters, let me say something. Whenever we have differences amongst our people, we should always do our best to squash those differences and unite and get over it to the best of our ability, and to not hold grudges where we don't have to, when the ultimate objective is the liberation of our people. So Unity Nation is endorsing Brother Mark Thompson in his quest for City Council Chairman. And we'll take your question right after this, but I want him to make a statement on his candidacy, because I do believe that him working in this process and becoming council chair will be for the benefit of the black man and the black woman in Washington, D.C. So let's give him a round of applause from the Umoja Party, an independent political party that has been set up.
All right, thank you, brother. Hotep, sisters and brothers, I want to say a debt of gratitude, Medasi, Asante Sana, to Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz. Let's give him a round of applause. And brother knows that I know what he's dealing with. You know, we go out and we work hard, as he has done, putting up posters, informing the community, and we don't always respond in the way that we do, but that's okay. Where we are gathered in this number, this is enough to do what we need to do, am I right? So we need to go and spread the word from here to our sisters and brothers who, for whatever reason, could not be here. I simply want to say to you that I appreciate and say thank you and accept the endorsement of Unity Nation. As you all know, we have formed a new party, and I'd like to speak to that tonight primarily and say to you that the deadline, if you live in Washington, D.C., the deadline for you to register to vote in the November 8th election is October the 11th. If you live in Washington and you are not registered to vote yet, I have voter registration cards here to register you to vote tonight. You may also not check on your voter registration card, Democrat or Republican. You may check Umoja and join the Umoja Party. We are a legitimate political party, and we will be on the ballot this November 8th. All right? So this is very important. If our party receives 7,500 votes, which is only about 5% of the voting population, so we think we can get there, can't we? If I receive 7,500 votes against Dave Clark, or if Brother Kimry Hughes receives 7,500 votes in his election for council member at large, he's also running on the Umoja ticket, we will be permanently printed on the voter registration card and be able to hold our own primary in Washington, D.C. And so while what happened on September 13th, 1994 is historic, what will happen on September 13, 1996 will be more historic, because we want to make this the last election where everything is contingent upon the Democrats. We must build our own party. This is what the Umoja Party is about, unity, the first principle of Kwanzaa. And if in fact we are legitimized, and if in fact we win, and I think we will, as brother said, not only am I running against a white man, but I am running against a white man who was chairman of the city council beginning in 1982, presided, and under his watch, the black homicide and murder rate went up, black deaths went up, black infant mortality went up, black AIDS patients went up, black unemployment went up, black poverty went up. All of this happening in this community under his care, and so we must do something about this. But if we are victorious, we will be the first party of our kind since the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party in Mississippi under the leadership of Sister Fannie Lou Hamer. In her memory, I leave you in closing. As you know, the Umoja Party grows out of PASU, our revolutionary organization. And we will be holding our second annual Fannie Lou Hamer Holistic Health Conference for African women at Imani Temple, October 7th and 8th. So that's just something to put on your calendars. Sisters and brothers, I love you dearly. We have heard very important messages tonight. Let us uphold these sisters and brothers that have come before us. Let us step in front of them and take a bullet in front of them if necessary, because that's exactly what I know I would do and what they would do for each and every one of you. Hotep, sisters and brothers, and Madasi.
You know what I'm talking about. Well, come on, sister. Come on up here and ask your question. Also, tonight's videotapes are in the lobby also. The audio will be available later, 202-291-0014. Ashra Kwesi's tapes are here. Matter of fact, if you have any questions for him, also.
Okay. Hi, my name is Stephanie Stanley, and I'm a Howard University student, and I wasn't aware of all of these things happening with Howard. See, I'm a pharmacy student, and when I'm engrossed in my studies, I don't have time to get up to the hill, except for when financial reasons come up to hear what's going on. But I was, deeply, concerned about what was going on up there, because that is our civil rights that are definitely being violated. But I want to thank, our African brothers and our sisters that are here in America that are really, trying to help us along with the struggle. And we should try also our very best to do the same, or at least the very minimum that we can do to help each other, because that is our problem. My main concern and my question is that I'm sort of, what do you call it? I don't like how we are called as a race Negroid. I think as a people we should try to change that to some kind of African blackness name. I don't know. But when I heard that our race is called Negroid, I didn't like it. And I said one day I'm going to be in a forum where I can bring that to the attention of all of us. Because Negroid sounds to me too much like Negro, as we were hearing in the context of it being us being uneducated or miseducated Negroes, and also it sounds too much like nigger. So I think that we should, as a people, as this movement goes forth, try to change this Negroid race into some kind of African name or whatever, because I believe Negroid is that Greek or something like that. I don't know, but I believe it's not African. It doesn't say Negroid, so I think we need to do that. And also, another concern I want to leave with us is that I believe we need to stop calling ourselves the minority and call ourselves the majority, because there are more people of color in this world than there are Europeans or Caucasians. Thank you.
We're going to let Brother Ashra Kwesi answer this question.
I think our sister is absolutely right in terms of the barbarian calling us Negroid. But not only do they call us Negroid, they call us Pigotoid, Astroloid, all kinds of names. The question is, why can't we come up with our own name? Like Muanthropoid. A Muanthropoid is a mutant human-like thing. That's a scientific term too, unless the oppressed can't name the oppressor. Now, we have taken the names. Why can't we come up with our own names to define them? This is how they define us. So I'm saying, yes, we must correct our name and define ourselves who we are, but we should also define the barbarian who he is in our own scientific terms. And that's a Muanthropoid, a mutant human-like thing. Not quite human, but a mutant human-like thing. So when people ask, where does white folks come from? Well, my question is, I think they came here to this planet on a germ, on a comet, because they seem to be against everything on the planet, so they're a mutant human-like thing. So the term that you use when they call you Negroid and say you are a Muanthropoid is a mutant human-like thing.
Come on up, brother. And of course, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that the term Negro stemmed from the Greek and Latin root necro, which means dead. And we were taught that we were now called Negroes because that was the Spanish word for black. But those who colonized us in this part of the wilderness of North America were not Spanish. And their languages came from the Greek and Latin roots, necros, which means dead, which is the state that they rendered us after bringing us here in 1555.
Brother Malik Shabazz, and man, my name is Chuck Samples, and I'm just, I used to be a self-destructive warrior, and now I'm becoming a constructive warrior. And I just wanted, my thing is for you, because I'm glad you putting this together, you and your Unity Nation. And I'd like to say hi to my brother Al from Men's Rap. Good to see the brother. If it weren't for you getting all these esteemed masters here, where would brothers like me be? You see what I'm saying? We still be on a path to self-destruction. And I'm saying, man, that I like to see you do more of this, and I like to ask a question to you in Unity Nation. Are y'all getting this like to the halfway houses, you know, the Lorton, you know, DC jail? Because there's a lot of us out here, and we got that ability, but all we need is the people to stir up our dead mind, see, and plant us with that true real mind. See, there's a lot of us brothers, we know the forces out there drawing us to our true people. And we still, you know, caught up in that devil thing. So, but I appreciate this. And for real, I did not want to take off from work to come here, but I knew I had to live. So I chose life over than death. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate this. I don't know about the rest of the people out here, but I dig this. And, you know, I had my people's bond money. I spent it all. But see, I bought me some arsenal. I went over to Dr. Jeffrey's table, spent money. I bought me some that nuclear power you was talking about, because I want it. Because I know how to work it once y'all teach me how. Thank you, my brother. Amen.
Let's give our brother a black hand.
Yeah, the brother was very serious. He says he wants to get material on the art of war. There has to be an African art of war, so I'm going to hunt up some books for him. And he bought a power pack, which has all that work by Wade Nobles and Jacob Carruthers, Asa Hilliard, myself, and Dr. Clark. And but I wanted to be able to tell you, and I forgot, that we're having a national conference on African-centered education in New York next week, Thursday evening, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. And a lot of people are coming. So those of you who can get on a Greyhound, I'm sure they got some cheap fares. You can take a partner at half price and come on up to New York. Sorry I didn't mention it before when I was at the mic.
Okay, let me say this to the young brother. First of all, I appreciate his comments. For me, I can identify with this situation because as young black men, we are having a tough time in this world. This is one of the most aggressive generations that we have ever produced, and it seems as if we're going to be negative or positive. So I myself identify with you, brother, because I was caught up in some of the same madness of the white man's world and engaged in self-destructive activity myself until I latched on to mentors and big brothers like Dr. Khalid Muhammad and others. And in terms of getting this program and this message into the halfway houses, into Lorton, and into the school system, I'm not just making a political statement, but if I'm able to be city councilman, I will do my utmost ability to keep teaching on a mass level and to implement these programs and to bring Dr. Leonard Jeffries to Lorton, to bring Dr. Khalid Muhammad to Lorton, into the halfway houses, into the schools for assemblies. If we can't get the African-centered learning program into the schools right now, then we can at least have assemblies. We can set up a relationship with the principals where at least on a monthly basis we can bring our scholars like Ashwa Kwesi and his wife or others, and we can show this information in the school system to all of our children. So that's something that I will absolutely work for, and I've spoken with several principals about this program already. Brother Steve. This is Brother Steve Washington from the Dallas think tank. Once again, he came up and he's been a big supporter of Dr. Muhammad and has had Dr. Jeffries down in Dallas, Texas, and they engage in many positive activities. Brother Steve.
Hotep. I just want to say to the young brother, last time I was here, C-SPAN was here. Cameras was lined on the back wall and writers was lined in the front row. But when they got the heaviness of the message to the people reacted. And that's why they're not here tonight. They can't afford to keep sending the message that hard and strong across the airwaves. So the only way we can do this is shut them out and do it among ourselves. So I tell the brother, if everybody was here tonight, and you got to give yourself a black hand, black people, because you've been here 9 hours, so you really want to be liberated. If you're not, you're almost there. But to the brother, the only way we can do this
is with each other. Go to your churches, your community groups, your community organizations. Let them know when you see the posters on the wall, let them know that they're responsible to be here. Because if we can't get the black people in here to help pay these scholars and help pay these lawyer bills and help pay these hospital bills, Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz won't have a fighting chance to keep putting these things together. So the best thing black people can do is build among ourselves, start back beating the drums so we can hear the rhythm of the drum and we can know something is going on.
Any further questions? Comments? Come on, black man. Brother Ishmael.
A question for Dr. Khalid Muhammad. You still here?
Where's Muhammad? Where's Khalid?
Yeah, this is a question, Khalid?
Yeah. You can ask your question, then we'll just repeat it.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is Ishmael. My question was geared towards Dr. Khalid Muhammad. I wanted him to share with us his thoughts and feelings on his attempted assassination and complexities and underpinnings in relation to that.
Brother's question is about Dr. Khalid Muhammad's assassination. We're going to bring him in from the lobby because assassination attempt. Obviously, because the brother's still here. Thank God that he is still here. Again, brothers and sisters, this tape will be at the tape connection on audio by next Monday. Monday following this, you can receive the whole cassette tape by audio. Here he comes. Obviously, he's recovered well. Look how fast he's running. That's not Michael Jordan. That's Khalid Muhammad. The question was the ramifications of your assassination attempt. Have I understood correctly?
General.
Totally true. The ramifications surrounding my assassination attempt, or the assassination attempt on me, there are aspects of it that I am not at liberty to go into right now because of the very delicate nature of it. There are certain feelings that I have about it that I do not believe that the climate, the atmosphere, nor the time or timing is appropriate to discuss right now. But there are other aspects. I understand that you were under the impression that James Best is still at large, which is not true. He is under arrest and is being held somewhere in the Riverside, California area, which displeases me very much. I wish he was still at large so that we could look for him. Those who beat him and those who attempted to take him out or kill him thought that he was dead. He was unconscious. They thought he was dead. To me, that is the only justice. The order does not have to come from me. It does not even have to come at my hand. But I believe that the only justice is death for James Best. But God is the best knower, and the order will come from God. I believe that there were others who worked with him. And I do know that in this city of Washington, D.C., there is one who was in close contact with James Best. I do know that in this city, in Washington, D.C., black, one who talked to him on a consistent basis and who probably, based on the things that he said to him, helped pump him up and push him further over the edge to make him feel that he was doing God a favor, and the man of God, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to make him believe that even without Minister Farrakhan talking to him at all, that he was doing Minister Farrakhan a favor by killing me. But someone in this city, I know them by name, worked directly out of a spirit of envy, out of a spirit of jealousy, out of a spirit of just nigger mess, and out of a spirit of almost, I would have to say, conspiracy with him. There are others that we believe are connected to the Jews, others who we believe are connected to the government of the United States of America. There are reports of 2 men who got away from eyewitnesses of the scene. The police did not want to talk about the hole that was cut out of the fence with wire cutters, and the bushes that were cut out, and the 30-06 with the scope on it. They didn't want to talk about that. They only wanted to talk about the 9mm and the 3 9mm or so that were found in the pack or the sack that they claim was found in James Best's car. And if I go to court, and I close this out by saying, I will not testify against James Best. I will not put myself in a position, according to white law, to perjure myself, but I will not testify against James Best, and I have asked everybody not to testify against James Best. Of course, that decision is up to them. I want him to go free. I want him to walk from the courtroom so that he can be tried in the people's court. I'm not talking about Judge Wapner. It ain't got nothing to do with Judge Wapner. I'm talking about judged in the people's court so that he could get the judgment and the justice that is due him. Justice, so teaches the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is reward for good and punishment for evil. So whatever justice is, I want to see him get real justice. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Dr. Khalid, for returning to the stage. I also had a question for you. I would like to know, I understand there's a plan by Minister Farrakhan to march on the city of Washington in 1995, around about April, I understand. My question is, what is the demeanor of this anticipated 1 million black strong men marching on this city, and how are we going to be directed to govern ourselves? What is hoped to come out of this march, and what would you direct us in preparation for this march? How would you direct us in preparation?
Brother's question, of course, is about the 1 million black men that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has said that he will call on to join him here in Washington, D.C. in a call for reparations and justice. I'm sorry to say, my brother, I don't know any more than that, and I would not want to venture out too far beyond that, because of course strategy, of course maneuver, of course logistics in some cases will be given to us on a last minute basis. Other aspects of it would be on a need to know basis. And it is not something when you're moving 1 million black men that you will discuss so openly with the enemy or with the enemy present or not knowing who's present. But in this case, I don't know. And so I await instructions, further instructions from the leader, from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which would give us those answers in time and in the proper season and the proper reasons behind what he has planned to do. Is this our last question? Or last two questions?
Good evening, everyone. My question is directed to you. Assalamu alaikum, sir. There has been a recent surge in media, basically through Emerge magazine, several publications that are seeming as though they're trying to express that there is a rift between the Minister Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam at large and yourself. I personally think that that is the wrong way to look at the situation, and I would like your thoughts on it, sir.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is my spiritual teacher, my spiritual leader and guide, and my spiritual father. In fact, it is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan who is responsible for opening my eyes, responsible for waking me up and teaching me what time it is. And so what I know is that I have learned for the most part from him. And the core power of my message comes from him. And the example and the role model has come over the years from him. And so like any good son, I am not going to run away from home. And I am certainly not going to in any way attack my father on any issue in the public. I will not say as little as a word nor as much as a sentence against him. I learned from my big brother, whom I never met, Malcolm X, El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, Brother Omar Wali, 30 years ago. And though my life appears to be paralleling Malcolm's in many ways, as this cycle appears to be repeating itself 30 years later, that is one aspect of Malcolm's life, his conflict with his teacher and his spiritual father, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That is one aspect of his life that I will not repeat in this day and time that we are living in. Emerge magazine raised the question, is Khalid undermining Farrakhan and, in words, the Nation of Islam? But strictly worded, is Khalid undermining Farrakhan? I'm not undermining the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm undermining the devil. I'm undermining the white man. I'm undermining this Peckerwood. I'm undermining this cracker. I'm undermining this no good bastard and will always undermine him and will teach my baby and my baby's babies to continue to fight him from the cradle to the grave. So there is no effort on my part to undermine the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These Uncle Tom Negroes from the civil rights organizations who attacked me, none of them should have attacked me. They all should have kept their mouths shut. Here in Washington, D.C., in Baltimore, and throughout the country, because it was Louis Farrakhan who made me a minister. It was Louis Farrakhan who made me his national spokesman, his national assistant, his national representative. And so since he made me, and since they did not make me, when the white man came to these boot-licking, butt-licking, buck-dancing, bamboozled toms, they should have told the white man, we have nothing to say. That's between Farrakhan and his student. That's between Farrakhan and his son. That's between Farrakhan and his minister. We have nothing to say. If you want a response, go to Minister Farrakhan and ask him. But these Negroes didn't say that. These Negroes came out, some of them, and volunteered information to the white man that he didn't even ask them for. Scratching and shuffling and bootlicking and buck dancing and begging the white man to accept them. And so I say on the last note that if he made me, then certainly he has the right to determine when he no longer wanted me to be his minister. Certainly if he made me his spokesman and his representative and his assistant, then he has a right to determine how he wants to be represented to the public and how he wants this message of truth represented to the public. God made me the way I am, and I make no apology for the way that God made me, and I'm sure God makes no apology for the way he made me, and he permits me to live. The attack came against my life, but I'm alive and well by God's permission. And so I will continue as I have done, but with guidance and with wisdom and with hindsight, foresight, and insight from my leader and teacher. But I will always be hard on the enemy, and I wish you wouldn't ask me to talk about the white man better or use better words. The hell you gonna tell me what to say to the white man? I told you on last night I want to kill him, and you telling me how to talk to him. He understands that. If you don't understand that, there is no special way to talk to your murderer, no special way to talk to your enslaver, your lyncher, your robber, your raper, your colonizer, your misuser, your abuser. There is no special way to talk to him. And if there is a special way, you can believe I'm very special in the way I talk to him all the time.